Okay, how's it going? So today we're going to learn more about functions. We already talked about functions in a previous episode, but functions are so important that I thought I should do two, at least two videos, maybe more on functions. What are functions? Functions, we're learning Swift code and we're trying to make apps. And as far as we've already learned about the properties like let and var, let and var. But functions are called by using the func term, and they're like actions or verbs. Properties are more like nouns, and functions are like actions or verbs. So when you think about like an action, what are some actions you think about? Like, how about waking up? Or how about getting dressed? Brushing teeth. What if we just say morning routine? Your morning routine. All right. So what you can do with the function is you just declare it by typing func and hit the space, and you can call it whatever you want. In this case, let's call it waking up. Or how about just wake up? Function wake up. Now you do the parentheses. That's what sets the function aside. Open parentheses, close parentheses, open bracket, and you hit enter, and there's the close bracket. This is the most basic function. It's not doing anything. It just is. So you could like print something out in here that says just wake up. All right. Now it's not happening. It's not printing anything down here. It should, right? No, not really. Because functions like are weird in that they exist in a little block, and because you're going to use them again and again and again, they don't happen until you call them, until you tell them to happen. So let's call it to wake up. Boom, wake up. Let's do it again and again and again. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Right? So you can see this function is called again and again and again. As it comes down here, it triggers this to print, it triggers this to print. And in fact, if you look at print, the way that print is worded, print is a function of itself. See, because it's got you can tell functions are functions because they've got these little parentheses after them. If they have parentheses after them like that, it's a function. Okay, what's the next one? Let's make another function. This is fun. Function called getting dressed. Now, one thing that you might notice when I'm writing these functions is that I'm typing the first letter in lowercase, but the words in between are uppercase. This is called camel case because it looks a little bit like humps when you have multiple words. So you want to write your functions in camel case. That's what Apple says, and it looks good, I think. So functions in camel case, if you write them in all caps or whatever, it's going to work, it'll compile, but your fellow programmers will roll their eyes at you. And they'll say, ugh, look at that. So you'll see getting dressed isn't happening yet. Oh, so I'm going to print out get dressed. And call it down here. Getting dressed. And calling it, when I say call it, that just means like trigger it. Make it happen. So here it's not happening. We're just saying what the functions are. They're these little blocks of code. And down here, we're triggering them to happen. Y'all with me so far? Now, what about if we want to make a function called morning routine? Okay, let's do that. Now, we could just take wake up, get dressed, do all that down here. Or it might be better and easier to just call these things to happen like this. So you can put a function inside of a function. So now instead of doing wake up, get dressed, do all that, you can just have one thing that says morning routine, and it triggers this thing to happen, which triggers these two things to happen. That's your whole morning routine. Now we're getting kind of cool stuff going on here, right? We got functions inside of functions. So what are these parentheses for? Okay, so you could stop the video here if you want. That's the basics of functions. What if you want more? You want to learn more about this. So what if you want to say like, wake up Dave, get dressed Dave? You could, you could just type it in here. Get dressed Dave, wake up Dave. And down here it'll print out just fine. Well, what if you want like to run this morning routine for Sally? Or, Jonas, whatever, so, different people. So you're going to have to tell the morning routine who that person is. So the way you do that is you pass something called a string in here. So there's going to be a name, and it's of the type string. Now we're passing a string in. Well, it's going to yell at me down here because it's like, hey, you said you would pass this a string, Dave, and there's no string in there. So here we go, passing it in, Sally. So now morning routine is called, and this word Sally shoots into here. But then it doesn't do anything from here, right? We're not doing anything yet. I think what I want to do is something a little fancy. I want to make something called morning text or morning message. And I'm just going to say it starts out as nothing. It starts out just as an empty string. And then we slowly add to it. We add wake up Dave, getting dressed Dave, or get dressed Dave. This actually should probably be get dressed, not getting dressed. You'll see I changed the text in one place, so I had to change it in the other place. So make sure you do that. Okay, so here's where we're getting freaky, because now we want to, instead of print the statement here, we want to send this text back. We want to send it without the Dave part though, so it can be customized. So we're going to, instead of doing this, we're going to do return wake up. Putting a little space back there because then I can, when I put the name in after it, there'll be a space there. In fact, yeah, for sure. And then here we'll do return get dressed. Now it's giving me an error because I said to return something, but like I haven't, in this function is not returning anything yet. Up here, to make it return something, you have to do minus and then this God, what is that? Angular bracket? I don't know what you call it. I need to learn what that thing's called. And so that when you do this arrow thing, this arrow symbol, that means you're returning a string. And now down here we'll return another string. And now these errors should go away. But yet it's not really doing what I want to do yet, because it's calling the wake up to happen and it's returning a string, but the string isn't going anywhere here. So I could say morning. So you could do this. You could do let wake up message equal wake up. And then you can do let get dressed message equal get dressed. So now you're making these new things called wake up message, get dressed message, and instead of the morning message, we're going to say, all right, fine. Now our morning message is maybe equal to the wake up message. Actually, let's do something even better here. Da-dum, da-dum. So this da-dum part, this slash parentheses, you get to pass strings into there. Wake up message, get dressed message. And then here's where the magic happens, because now we have a name up here. And so we can say wake up and then put a name in there. Name. Let's put a period here maybe. And then get dressed and then put the name after there too. Now we have one last thing to do here, which is let's print the morning message. Here we go. Wake up, Sally. Get dressed, Sally. So now if we run the morning routine for someone else, like let's call Mark to wake up. Wake up, Mark. Get dressed, Mark. Now let's take a step back and look and see what's happening here. Okay, we've got this thing called a morning routine. And the morning routine takes a string in. We start out by saying, we're going to come up with a morning message. We don't know what it is just yet, but we'll have a morning message for you pretty soon. And then we ask the wake up function to happen. And we say wake up, and it triggers, when you do something like this, it's going to trigger this wake up function to happen and then assign the string here. Right? So here's wake up. It returns this text, and then it just stores it for now. And then we call get dressed, and it returns this text and just kind of stores it for right now. And then down here we say, you know that thing we talked about, the morning message? You know what? We don't even have to do that. We could just do let morning message equal. And do the same thing in one less line of code. That's called refactoring. Okay. Now we say there's this new thing called morning message, and here's a bunch of code to print out this nice text here. And then we call it to print. We say, all right, let's just print it within here. Now every time you run your morning routine, it passes this text in and prints it out. Versteh? You got it? You understand? Functions are like actions, and then properties, here are our properties, are like nouns, like things, like objects, like stored properties. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Plenty more to come, and this is again a video on functions in Swift programming.